I'm an illiterate person teaching other illiterate people how to look at pictures. That's all this is.
Well, this is going to go good.
Yay!
So if this means here and beyond, and then you could say, well, yod mem is the word for water. Im, mayim is mem yod mem. Yod mem is also a plural. Im is actually waters. It's also days because you drop the vav. Yod vav mem would be the word yom, which is day. So, but you know, you have something about water and day, and but then you got dalet yod. Does anybody ever heard the song Die Enu Die? Okay, what does that mean? Do you know?
It is enough.
It is enough. How? Where does it is enough fit the word die or die enu? You know?
I did.
So the reason I'm saying this. No,
Good answer.
Where's Johanna? She knows.
well, here's the point. We hear things, and we learn them by rote. We just repeat. But we have no idea what it's talking about. Now, I remember hearing the song, Diano, it would be enough for us, and yeah, etc. What does one have to do with the other?
Is he
It's got
hitting somebody
everything.
with onions or something
Huh?
too? Aren't people hitting people with onions too?
Onions?
That's
Never
part of
heard
the
that.
song. They whip them with the onions.
I'm not sure about that.
Not sure? That's horrible. That's a Jewish
Oh, that's
tradition.
well. Has anybody seen the movie?
Oh my gosh.
Has anybody seen the movie Ushfazim?
Yes.
Okay, I watched this one time, and the lady says to her husband, "Die, die!" In the English transliteration, it was stop, stop. It's, shut up. And so all of a sudden, die, that's the word stop. As in dienu, which is to say it's enough. When do you die? When you've had enough.
Huh?
Die is stop. Dienu, you put the nu, the nun vav at the end, is us. Eloheinu is our Elohim. Mosheinu is the one who saves us. Dienu is we have had enough. Enough. Stop. Die. Stop. Enough. Die. Stop. Enough. And then you say, well, what about this other word? Kuf dalet. Kuf dalet is to punch holes in. Now, to bore holes, to dot. If you bring in your luggage through the room, and these people have nice furniture, you bang into it, you put little nicks on the furniture, you've nicked it. Nicked. Nun kuf dalet. Nicked. Dots. Hey, that's just like those two verses. The one where Esau supposedly wanted to bite him, and the other one where he says, the words of this Torah are for us and our children to keep the things he revealed. We don't know about the things he didn't reveal because he didn't reveal them. Like the Urantia, he didn't reveal them to us, so those are not on our food table. We're not going to worry about the doctrines of demons. We're going to worry about what did he give us to eat. Now, the verse right before Deuteronomy 29:28, it has an enlarged letter lamed in the word to send away. He has dispatched us, he has cast us aside. Now, when Nicodemus, Nikadamon, see the nun is to activate the nicking of enough away from. What does that have to do with anything? What did Nikadamon want to ask Yeshua when he came up to him? This is what the text says. At night, Nikadamon comes up to Yeshua and he says, he didn't ask a question yet, he says, we know, because we've been watching you, that you come from Elohim. We know you come from Elohim. Nobody can do the things you do. What did he ask him? Nobody have an idea? All I hear is some murmuring. I can't make any. What?
You wanted to know how many?
No, he never asked how to be born again. Yeshua grabbed the conversation and started running with it and started dragging Nicodemus behind him, and he then put to him something about being born again, and Nicodemus goes, he didn't say how do you be born again, he says, a man is supposed to come back into his mother's womb. Now, you look at that and go, come on, Nicodemus, that's stupid. No grown man is going to get back into his mother's womb. Shut up. Wait a minute. What was he asking? Now, if somebody wanted to have an intellectual conversation with you about reincarnation, no, that's a genuine philosophical sort of religious conversation. It's a matter of science. It's a matter of real biology. What did Yahweh make? Did he make such a thing as reincarnation a viable consideration, or did he not? Now, as Christians, we've been taught that no, absolutely not. There is no reincarnation. But other people who are very intelligent believe there is reincarnation. So for Nicodemus to say, hey, Yeshua, we believe you came from Elohim because we've been watching you. Are you suggesting that reincarnation is true? Does an old man return and be born again? Why do I say an old man be born again? Because the word for return not only is chazir, which is pig, but it's also shuv, shin vav bet, shin bet, the root of bet, shin bet, is to return, which is an old man. And an old man who comes back around again. So like an old man is one who keeps coming back around another year, another year, another year, get grayer and grayer. An old man is one who returns. And so when he says, should an old man, that's when it returns, return through the agency of being born of his mother, once again like he did the first time, suddenly it's a very legitimate, philosophical question asking the one from Elohim if maybe we've been wrong this whole time and could you please correct our understanding. But that was not what he came up to ask Yeshua about. That was when Yeshua grabbed his statement and ran with it and started leading him down that path of telling him something. So what did he come to ask Yeshua about? Do you know? He never tells us. That's the point. He never tells us what he came to ask. His whole point was missed. Or was it? Nakadamon. He says, are you not a great teacher of Israel and you don't know these things? A great teacher of Israel. A great teacher. Which letter means teach and learn? Lamed. Lamed. An enlarged Lamed is a great teacher, right? Deuteronomy 29, verse 28, the verse right before it, is an enlarged Lamed. And it's got nix above it, right below it. It's nicked, and it's got an enlarged Lamed, which is a great teacher. Could this be a clue which says the conversation that he came to talk to Yeshua was about is keyed right back to Deuteronomy 29, verse 28? If you look at the jots and tittles. You see what I'm saying? But if you don't see it in Hebrew, and you don't see the jots and tittles, you'll miss the whole thing. But then the question is, if he came to ask him, what is the context of this verse in Deuteronomy 29, 28, what does that got to do with anything? You know what the first question was they asked Yeshua when he rose from the dead? It's in Acts chapter 1. Well, that's after he met with them, I think, probably in the upper room situation where he walked in. But they said, is it now you're going to restore the kingdom to Israel? But why would they ask him that? What were they thinking?
That he was going to.
He was going to. Why? What would ever give them the sense to even wonder if that was a possibility?
Because they've been taught their whole life that when the Messiah returns, that the kingdom would be established.
Okay, so here, this is Deuteronomy 29, verse 27. There's an enlarged Lamed, and it's right above Lanu Velabenu. The dots above the word are nix. The enlarged Lamed is a great teacher. So to read John chapter 3, which came hundreds of years later, and to say, does it have something to do with this? The Kadmon have something to do with this? You wouldn't see it if you read it in English or Greek, but suddenly it's very pertinent. Well, this is what it says. I'll read the context of verse 24. And, okay, let me back up. Well, we'll have to read a little bit more to get the context here. You are standing today, all of you, before Yahweh your Elohim, the heads of your tribes, your elders, your officers, all the men of Israel, your small children, your women, the proselyte who is in the midst of your camp, from the hewer of your wood to the drawer of your water, for to you to pass into the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim, and into his imprecation that Yahweh your Elohim seals with you today, in order to establish you today as a people to him, and he will be Elohim for you. As he spoke to you, and as he swore to your forefathers, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, to Yaakov, not with you alone do I seal this covenant and this imprecation. Imprecation is a demand, an obligation by contract legal terms. But with whoever is here, standing with us today before Yahweh Elohim, and whoever is not here with us today. For you know how we dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how we passed through the midst of the nations, through whom you passed. And you saw their abominations and their detestable idols of wood and stone, of silver and gold that were with them. Perhaps there is among you a man or a woman or a family or tribe whose heart turns away from today from being with Yahweh, our Elohim, to go and serve Elohim Achrim, the gods of those other nations. Perhaps there is among you a root flourishing with gall and wormwood. And it will be that when he hears the words of this imprecation, this is an oath and a curse and otherwise blessing it to keep it. He will bless himself in his heart, saying, peace will be with me, though I walk as my heart sees fit. In other words, like, I don't have to do this. It really doesn't matter. These guys are going blah, 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 about all this Hebrew stuff and the brick and the Torah and the whatever. And God knows my heart. Me and God are cool. We got to understand. So this is Deuteronomy 29, just so you know. Thereby adding the water upon the thirsty. Now there's a little idiom, thereby adding the water upon the thirsty. You have to dig into that a little bit more. But he's just, adding fuel to the fire, basically. Yahweh will not be willing to forgive him. For then Yahweh's anger and jealousy will smoke against that man, and the entire imprecation written in this book will come down upon him. And Yahweh will erase his name from under heaven. This is pretty serious imprecation. Yahweh will set him aside for evil. Now that doesn't mean he's just going to kill him immediately. He's going to set him aside for evil among all the tribes of Israel, like all the imprecations of the covenant that's written in the book of this Torah. He's going to sit there and maybe hound him for a while and torture him before he dies, and then ends up in hell. And it's like, where's General Jesus when you need him? I'm kind of mocking because this is who Yeshua is. And I don't know the General Jesus guy, but Yeshua is the guy that's God with these words.
Jesus is I Sue, who is the goddess of healing, with an S added on the end of it, and a hard J put in 1536.
Well, see, the more you look into this stuff, the dirtier the fingerprints look. Okay, here. The later generation, hey, that's us. He's talking to us now. The later generation will say, your children who will rise after you, and the foreigner who will come from a distant land, when they will see the plagues of the land. What, you mean like the collapse of the American economy? And its illnesses. Oh, what, you mean what they give us with vaccinations and all these things that they stir up, and the swine flu, and anyway. Which Yahweh has afflicted it. Oh, we can't blame them. Yahweh's behind all this. Yahweh himself is behind the collapse of any nation.
Right.
Sulfur and salt, a conflagration of the entire land. It cannot be sown, it cannot sprout, no grass will rise upon it. Like the upheaval of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah, and Zebolim, which Yahweh overturned in his anger and wrath. And all the nations were saying, for what reason did Yahweh do so to this land? Why this wrathfulness of great anger?